Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to episode 6 of those great 6-album runs. I originally said I was going to do the top 25. Well, I've already hit the 25, and I realized that I still had a few left on my list that I wanted to go through. I probably have enough for another episode after this one, so you're going to get a total of 7 episodes on this. And I've got another 5 for you here today. These are bands that I think had a killer 6-album run of really, really good to classic albums, all of them. Some of them are big sellers, some of them are not, but the albums are still great too. So again, you may not think some of these albums are 6 classics or 6 great albums in a row. I do. That's why I'm doing the show, right? So you don't have to agree with all of them, but to me, some of these are pretty much kind of unquestionable, or at least, 6 really good albums in a row to really good to great albums to classic albums in a row is kind of hard to do. Not many bands have done that in the grand scheme of things. So, we've already come up with 25 of them. If you watch all the previous episodes, there's a playlist for that. You can go catch up on the ones that I've covered already. I've got 5 more for you here today. I'm going to do another 5 for you in a couple of weeks. I may have a couple of honorable mentions, or I may just have enough to do another episode after that. I'm not really sure. I think my list is kind of where it's at. It's pretty set, but we'll see how it goes. So let's start off with the first band. All right. So the first band, they have been around since the late 60s. They have a great run that actually goes a little further than the 6 albums, but I'm just going to keep it at 6. And again, I'm not doing live albums on these, just keeping it to the studio albums. So the band is Chicago. All right. They started off with the Chicago Transit Authority debut album. Again, a bunch of double albums in here. So Chicago are one of those maybe foolish bands who started off their career doing 3 double albums in a row and throw a big 4-album live set in the middle of there, and then they would do another double album in a couple of years. I just, crazy to think about it, but people bought these albums. So again, Chicago, the early stuff, Terry Kath on guitar, the horn section, great drumming, great vocals. You got the 3 guys who sang in the band, all around great band that fused rock and jazz and prog and a little bit of blues all together, psychedelia, to this really great sound. They did pop music really, really well. Forget the stuff they did in the 80s. Some people love it, some people don't. The way they became the hit machine, lots of ballads and things like that. This was a serious band early on. Chicago Transit Authority, lots of great tracks on here. Of course, the big single was Does Anybody Know What Time It Is? But you got Beginnings on here, Question 67, 68. Their cover of I'm a Man is terrific. Liberation, there's some great long songs on here. Introduction is great. South California Purples rocks. Terry Kath is all over this album, one of the great guitar players of all time. Sadly, we lost him about a decade later. This goes double platinum in the U.S., platinum in Canada. Then, of course, we've got the second album. Instead of Chicago Transit Authority, they changed their name to Chicago. This either called Chicago or Chicago 2, depending on what you want to call it. Platinum here in the States, 3 times platinum in Canada. Again, lots of long movements, right? Very proggy album as well. Got In the Country, Waking Up Sunshine, Make Me Smile was the big hit on this album. 25 or 6 to 4 was the other legendary FM track on this particular album. You got the Better and Soon movement. You got Ballet for the Girl in Buchanan. Big, long movement. Terrific, adventurous album. Love that. They kind of would do almost a part 2 to that album with Chicago 3. Okay, which went platinum here in the States, gold in Canada. Again, lots of long suites, another double album. This one not really containing any big hit single on it, but you've got stuff like Free and Mother and Sing a Mean Tune Kid and I Don't Want Your Money. Again, you got the Elegy Suite, An Hour in the Shower Suite, the Travel Suite. Very adventurous stuff. Amazing album. From there, okay, we're not going to count the Live at Carnegie Hall album, which is the big quadruple live album set. That actually is Chicago 4. They would then go release Chicago 5. 2 times platinum in the U.S., platinum in Canada. Again, great stuff on here as well. You got the 2-part dialogue, which really rocks. You got Saturday in the Park, which was a big hit for them. While the City Sleeps, another great song. Goodbye's on here. State of the Union, a hit by Varese. Now That You've Gone, terrific album. Again, it rocks. Got bits of jazz, got pop on it. Amazing stuff. From there, Chicago 6. 2 times platinum in the U.S., platinum in Canada. Just You and Me was the big, huge pop hit on here, of course. Also on here, Something in the City Changes People. Feeling Stronger Every Day, another outstanding song on here that I believe made some inroads as a single, but has become one of their better loved album tracks. Critics' Choice, Darling Dear, Jenny. Awesome, awesome stuff. Again, containing all the elements that we love so much about them. And then the last of my run, again, they would go on for, I think they probably went on another 2 or 3 albums after this of really strong albums. But the last of the 6 that I'm going to go with is Chicago 7, which is another double album. It's their first double album in a few years. And this particular album, I think, for those who were starting to like the more commercial direction that Chicago was starting to go in, although because there are some hits and things on these albums, even though they're still very adventurous, very jazzy, very much rock influenced. This they would release like basically an album of all instrumental jazz fusion, and then they would go do regular Chicago stuff on the second album. Kind of controversial at the time, but you know what? This still went platinum in the U.S., gold in Canada. Again, 2 album set. Great stuff if you want to hear the real jazzy Chicago, and again, trying to take advantage of the very popular jazz fusion stuff at the time. This was 1974. Prelude to Air and Devil's Suite and Italian from New York, Hanky Panky, all this really great stuff in here. Mongo Nucleosis is on here. Wishing You Were Here was the big kind of like breezy pop hit on the album. Skinny Boy's on here. I've Been Searching So Long, another great song that blends like jazz, rock, and pop. Excellent, excellent album. I think this is one of their most underrated albums. So, great stuff. So that's Chicago. All right. Next, we're going to move on to one that might be kind of controversial for some of you, but if you are a fan of this band, there's no denying that the first 6 Kiss albums are absolutely terrific. And those, of course, by Kiss fans, looked at as mostly their greatest albums, right? One after another after another. The debut, and again, these albums, especially the first 3, all eventually went gold, but really didn't make a dent on the chart. I think only one of them even dented the top 100 Billboard charts. But, there's Kiss, right, which has, of course, Strutter, Nothing to Lose, Firehouse, Cold Gin, Deuce is on here, 100,000 Years, Black Diamond. I mean, these are Kiss classics. Hotter Than Hell, my personal favorite Kiss album. Of course, this has Got to Choose and Parasite. And the title track, Hotter Than Hell, Watching You's on here, Strange Ways on here. It's a dark and heavier album than the first one. Then, of course, you got Dressed to Kill, all right, which has Room Service, Lady in Waiting, Rock and Roll All Night. Of course, their big hit. Rock Bottom's on here, She's on here, Come On and Love Me's on here, Getaway's on here. Underrated album. And then, of course, we're going to go to Destroyer, which of course was their first big, Kiss Alive sold pretty well, but this was their first big studio seller. Double platinum here in the States. Of course, this includes Detroit Rock City, King of the Nighttime World, God of Thunder, Flamin' Youth, Shout It Out Loud, their big hit Beth, Do You Love Me, again, all Kiss staples, plus some other really good stuff. Rock and Roll Over goes platinum. All right, this of course has I Want You, Calling Dr. Love, Ladies Room, Baby Driver, Mr. Speed is really good, Hard Luck Woman, Making Love, again, more Kiss staples, some great deep album cuts. And then they had the album that came after my next one that also did very well for them, but don't really think that the Dynasty is considered a Kiss classic, although I really like it. But then you have Love Gun. This also goes platinum. All right, this of course has I Stole Your Love, Christine 16's on here, Shock Me's on here, the title track on here, Almost Human, Hooligan, which I like quite a bit, and the last 3, 11, 11, and number 4 on the Billboard charts. So these did very, very well for Kiss. All right, next up, we're going to go to, because you knew it was coming, because everybody's been asking, and do I need another example to talk about one of my favorite bands of all time? Sure, Deep Purple. All right, starts off with In Rock. It then goes to Fireball. Right, and again, just Speed King, Bloodsucker, Child in Time, Living Wreck, Fireball, the title track. Depending on where you are, you either got Demon's Eye or Strange Kind of Woman, Fools, No One Came, The Mule's on there. All of these Deep Purple albums go gold in the States with the exception of Machine Head, which goes double platinum. All right. Of course, Highway Star, Smoke on the Water, Maybe I'm a Leo, Lazy, Never Before, Pictures of Home, terrific. Then perhaps the one out of this group of 6 that maybe not everybody is all that into, but I think this album has held up really, really well. It might be the weakest of the Mark II era albums, but it's still damn good, I think, and that's Who Do We Think We Are? Of course, Woman from Tokyo is on here, Mary Long, Super Trooper, Smooth Dancer, Rat Bat Blue, Place in Line, Our Lady. Really good rock songs on there. Of course, the Mark II era kind of blows up. Mark III comes in, Coverdale and Hughes. We get Burn, terrific album, one of my favorite Deep Purple albums. Title track is amazing, Might Just Take Your Life, Mistreated's on here. Lay Down, Stay Down, Sail Away, You Fool No One. I mean, what's going on here? Great. A200, right? And then, of course, the last of the group here. And again, some could say that Come Save the Band is number 7. I wouldn't argue that too much. Stormbringer, the last with Blackmore at the time. Stormbringer's on here. Holy Man, Lady Double Dealer, right? The Gypsy, which I love, Soldier of Fortune. Just great stuff on here too. A little bit funkier, Deep Purple, but still great. The Killer 6 album run. So from there, we got 2 more for you here for this episode. Let's move on to Pink Floyd. This was a weird one. I kind of put this off for a bit because I'm like, it's a strange catalog because you have these kind of like sort of soundtrack albums and these half live, half studio albums and floating around in there. And I said, all right. So I took a look at the discography. I said, I can make a case for this one. And I'm going to start it with Metal, okay, which went gold in the UK, 2 times platinum in the US. I mean, when you got an album that starts with One of These Days and ends with Echoes, regardless of what you think about the 4 tracks in between, which varying success there, I think those bookend tracks are just absolutely immense. And to me, this is really the first album, there's great stuff on Atom Heart Mother and Saucer Full of Secrets and whatnot, but I think this is the first album where Pink Floyd really starts to sound like the Pink Floyd that we know and love. So that's the first one. I'm going to go Obscured by Clouds as number 2 in this run. All right, this one's silver in the UK, gold in the US. Basically a soundtrack film, or a soundtrack to the film The Valley. But when you listen to it, this basically comes across sounding like a regular Pink Floyd album, right? You got some little more instrumentals maybe than normal, and that's kind of why it's kind of soundtracky, but there's still plenty of vocal stuff on here. Title track is great. Childhood's End is great. Absolutely Curtains, Burning Bridges. I mean, great stuff on here. Good instrumental work on there. I really dig it. Of course, that would be the bridge to what we would see on one of the biggest albums of all time, The Dark Side of the Moon. Worldwide, 45 million copies. It's crazy, right? We know all the songs on here. This is legendary top to finish. An absolutely amazing album, as it was the follow-up and is the follow-up, which is Wish You Were Here. Worldwide, 20 million times platinum, 20 million copies, 20 times platinum. Man, the title track and just so many great songs on there. Wish You Were Here. There are times, people, where I even enjoy Wish You Were Here a little bit more than Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, just Shine On You Crazy Diamond, just both parts, great. Then we go to Animals, worldwide, 12 times platinum. Yeah, another amazing album. This is my favorite Pink Floyd album right here. So good. And then even though I'm not an enormous fan, this is a classic Pink Floyd album, right? Gotta go with The Wall. 30 times platinum worldwide. It's not one of my favorites, but I'm not foolish enough to not understand and know that this is a Pink Floyd classic and one of the 6 in the classic run. Hey You, Another Brick in the Wall, Comfortably Numb. I mean, there's so many great tracks on here. And each one of these was a top 10 album, charting album in the UK, and 4 of them made it to number 1 here in the US. Yeah, Pink Floyd, a juggernaut, right? For sure. Last but not least, till next time, we're going to go with UFO. And again, this is another one of those bands here that Only one of them certified anywhere, and only the last 3 in this run touched or even made the top 50 album charts in either the US or the UK. So we started all off with Phenomenon, the first one with Michael Schenker, of course famous for Dr. Doctor and Rock Bottom. All right, but there's more. Queen of the Deep is great. Oh My is great. I like Crystal Light on here. Lipstick Traces, cool guitars on there. This is another one of those albums that I think is vaulted into somewhat classic status because of a couple of just amazing tracks. So that's the first in the run. Next up, we're going to go to Force It. You know, here's where you get to the point. All right, so you got Let It Roll and Shoot, Out in the Street, Mother Mary, This Kid's is on here, Lost Love is on here, High Flyer. Very underrated album. Then, of course, No Heavy Petting. Natural Thing, I'm a Loser, Can You Roll Her, Belladonna, On With the Action, Fool in Love, Martian Landscape. Yeah, great stuff here. Again, the Great Strangers in the Night live album is made up of lots of songs from these albums. Of course, Lights Out, title track, Too Hot to Handle, Just Another Suicide, Love to Love, Try Me, which I think is great, Electric Phase. Obsession, the last studio album at the time with Michael Schenker. My personal favorite of the bunch. Only You Can Rock Me's on here. Pack It Up and Go. Ain't No Baby, Looking Out for Number One. Hot and Ready. Cherry, You Don't Fool Me. One More for the Rodeo. Born to Lose. Great stuff. One of my favorite Schenker guitar performances as well. And then an album which I think the songs are terrific. I wish the production had a little more balls to it. To me, it's George Martin's production is just very pristine. Maybe a little too much for UFO, but I think the songs are great. And that's No Place to Run. And like I said, this is the only one that's certified. This went silver in the UK. But here, great stuff on here. You know, you got Mystery Trains on here, Letting Go, Alpha Centauri's on here, Gone in the Night, the title track, Money. Great songs, memorable songs. Maybe not the all-out guitar excursions or the more kind of heavy rock album that the other ones that came before it is, but are. But you know, the first album in the Paul Tonka Chapman era is a good one. So there you have it. That's my 5-pack for today. My 5-pack of 6 album runs. All right. So we got UFO, Pink Floyd, Deep Purple, Kiss, and Chicago. There are more coming up. I have a number of them still to go. So like I said, you know what? I probably can squeeze 2 more episodes out of this. I know some of you really like this little series we're doing here. I've had lots of people asking, when's the next episode? And I just keep forgetting, and I'm like, I need to do it. So I figure I had a little bit of time, so let me just carve this out for you today. We'll try to get another one for you relatively quickly because I would like to finish this series off because I have other things I'm looking to dive into. So yeah, and I don't have a ton left, but I do have a number of them. So you'll get at least 2 more episodes probably looking at my list. And maybe I'll just do 2 episodes and then a couple honorable mentions, or maybe I have enough for 3. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, we've got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations as well as our merch page. So lots to check out. I thank you all in advance for that. Please hit the like button before you leave, and we'll see you real soon here on the channel with more stuff. Tune in Friday for Friday morning at the Funhouse with Martin Popoff and myself. We got the UK Connection coming up on Saturday. We got Ranking the Albums coming up on Sunday. I will be ranking the catalog of the Joe Perry Project. And, tomorrow, pick number 30 in my favorite 30 prog rock albums of the 70s. That's coming up at you tomorrow morning. So stay tuned for that at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Till then, I'm Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you real soon. Bye-bye.